So yes, I believe the Habs are going to match this. I believe it's a no-brainer to match. Wrong! Wow, I was way off base for my expectations on how this KK offer sheet stuff was going to go. I'm shocked. I shouldn't be. I should have saw it coming, but yeah, I'm sorry for that. And I'm especially sorry to some people at our Habs because I was extremely confident. Some would say cocky on the Habs matching this offer sheet. I was convinced they would, but wow, wow. Mark Bergevin, who's known for cap management and asset management, I guess decided to go with cap management and play it safe. And he said today in his press conference that Kotkaniemi, in the current state of his career at $6.1 million, too much of a risk, especially when we have guys like Suzuki and Caulfield and Romanov, as long as they develop well under our system, that we're going to have to pay. And I guess they foresaw that Kotkaniemi negotiations down the road, especially with that 6.1 qualifying offer at 1 year, was going to be a problem. And instead, they took the compensation and then replaced Kotkaniemi with said compensation. Now, this is a complicated situation here, and you can look at it in a lot of different ways, and I'm going to try to get through it as best as I can. To be honest, I'm conflicted. I'm disappointed. I'm excited as well. But I'm also pissed. I'm really pissed. So Montreal, they do not match the offer sheet that was sent from Carolina to Kotkaniemi, and he signed on the dotted line for 1 year at $6.1 million. And that contract brings him back to restricted free agency. And the rumor is that Carolina is going to sign Kotkaniemi to a midterm 3 to 4 year, around $4 million deal, as long as he plays well for them to start. Must be nice. Must be nice. I guess there really was some truth. I didn't want to believe it, but there was some truth to the animosity between Kotkaniemi and Montreal. And I'm going to get into why I think that was shortly here, but we don't match. Kotkaniemi is now a Carolina Hurricane. I hate to say that. He's going to wear number 82. He's going to play wing. They're going to develop him just like they did Sebastian Aho, starting at wing and transition to center. Essentially, they're going to start over his development. Looks great. Looks great on Montreal. And I don't know. Like, do they really believe in Kotkaniemi as the player, or did they expect Montreal to match this? They wanted revenge for the Aho offer sheet, but was their revenge completely ruining our internal cap? Or did they truly believe in Kotkaniemi and want him at the 6.1? Do they believe in him that much to get him at 6.1? If they do, then good on them and watch out. I mean, I believe in Kotkaniemi. I still believe in Kotkaniemi. But now we're in a weird position where do we hope he doesn't pan out so we look better in this whole offer sheet situation? Or do we hope he pans out so we don't look stupid in the first place for drafting him? I don't know. This is just... Overall, I'm really disappointed to see Kotkaniemi go. At 21 years old, we drafted him at 3rd overall just 3 years ago, and he's now out of the Canadiens organization. I was really excited for a Suzuki KK duo down the middle. I thought that was the perfect dynamic, but it's not going to happen. And for compensation, for our recent 3rd overall pick, we get a 1st round pick in 2022 and a 3rd round pick in 2022 from the Carolina Hurricanes. And the Montreal Canadiens quickly turned that around, part of that around, to replace Kotkaniemi, the safe route, with a guy who's proven in a top six role at center, in Christian Dvorak. And we'll get into that later on. I got to get through this offer sheet stuff because I don't see how Montreal comes out looking good in this whole situation. I understand if you only look at the offer sheet scenario, we actually came out of it okay. I think Mark Bergevin went with the responsible route. He didn't want the risk of hoping that Kotkaniemi pans out, especially with that price tag, when Dvorak was available for essentially the same price you're giving KK away for at a cost-controlled contract, 4 years, $4.45 million, for a proven NHL player. So I get that. If you look at that in just a box and an echo chamber, whatever, we did okay. I think there's also something to be said about Mark Bergevin sending a message to the other restricted free agents on our team that you're not going to dictate the terms of your contract. You got to buy into the team mentality. Shea Weber, I mean, sacrificing his body year after year for both teams he played for. But look what he just did in our cup run. Plus Carey Price, sacrificing the rest of his career in Montreal to keep Jake Allen. We have a tight-knit team, and that's what Bergevin and the leaders on this team are trying to build. If you don't want to fall in line with that, see you later. And I'm totally on board for that aspect of this whole situation. But if you look at the entire scenario, this does not look good on Montreal's amateur scouting. It does not look good on their development, especially. Because how can you have a guy in your system for 3 years and have him build up this much animosity towards a franchise despite going on a cup final run? I have a guess. And first of all, Montreal put themselves in this position in the first place by starting Kotkaniemi the year he was drafted. They burned a year of his entry-level contract, and that made his deal expire earlier than it really should have, and it gave Carolina the opportunity to offer sheet him at just 21 years old. So, in hindsight, he should have been sent back to Finland, or they should have maneuvered a way to get him to play in the AHL, because his team in Finland, Pori, they were going to have an awful year with or without Kotkaniemi. With or without him, they were going to suck. So I can get why that wasn't the ideal development place for him to be. But they could have maneuvered that he play with Laval, get big minutes. But they didn't. And that's not even my biggest bone to pick here with the Canadiens. I think what truly kicked off the animosity between player and franchise was the fact that they did not send him to the World Juniors. He was eligible twice at 18 and 19 to go to the World Juniors, and twice Montreal refused to send him. I understand we were a bubble team in his first year with us. We were fighting for a playoff spot. But these are NHL managers. These are NHL scouts. These are top quality executives that should have known that an 18-year-old was going to hit a wall at some point in his first NHL season. And he did. He could have used that confidence boost so badly. Not only that, these kids look forward to the World Juniors their entire childhood. And to take that away from him, that's my guess as to where he started questioning the people who were in charge of his development. And then, the straw that broke the camel's back. Maybe it was not starting him in the first bit of the playoffs against Toronto. Personally, I still agree with that decision. It provided Ducharme the opportunity to switch the momentum if the series didn't go their way to start. It didn't. Maybe it would have if they started him, but I kind of like that idea of switching the momentum, getting Toronto on their heels where they wouldn't want to be. And it worked. So I agree with that. And there is part of a young player who has to deal with the decisions that coaches and management make for him. Normally, I would side with the team and the franchise when they're developing a young kid or a young star. But I guess not playing him in the final was what did it in, apparently. And ever since then, Habs were looking to trade him. Carolina, I guess, offered something that wasn't up to snuff, and actually the offer sheet compensation was better. So, I don't know. It's just... My guess is that's where the animosity started, and I can see how that would have been a problem moving forward with negotiations, but Montreal put themselves in that position. Another first-round pick. Essentially wasted. It was a lotto pick. We were lucky to even be drafted third overall, and that was one of the best top 10s we've seen in recent years. We passed on Quinn Hughes, who I wanted so badly. That's who I wanted. But I trusted the franchise that I follow, and I maybe put too much trust in them. Because this is an area of Marc Bergevin's management that deserves criticism. I'm a huge Bergevin supporter. I still am. I hope he signs an extension the first day the season starts because he's doing a fantastic job. And under pressure, he does make good decisions like this one in a vacuum, like I said. He made out pretty good. He did. But we cannot. He cannot hold on to first-round picks like they're gold and then not get value out of them. When is this team going to draft and see through a player, an elite player? We should have came out of that draft with elite young talent. Maybe we did, but now they're not going to be playing for us. So I'm just tired. I'm tired of it. We need to figure it out. It should have been figured out after Galchenyuk. You can't even give them credit for Sergachev, who dropped for us. He shouldn't have gone at 9. He should have gone earlier. We were lucky to have him drop that far, and then we ended up trading him for below market value. And we saw how that turned out, and I'm still a huge Drouin supporter as well. I hope he finally breaks out this year. But still, the point still stands. And then Caulfield, how do you credit them for that? He dropped to 15. There is no reason he should have dropped that low. It was an obvious choice for them to pick him. And luckily, we do have him in our system. But other than that, it dates back to Carey Price, the last time we got full value out of a prospect. We need to figure out development. I was just so hopeful for KK. And like I said, now what do I do? What do we do? Do we hope that he succeeds in Carolina, or do we now just hope he doesn't? There were already a lot of people who didn't believe in KK, but what he has done at the NHL level at such a young age, despite the injury troubles, is extremely impressive. This 21-year-old season for him could have easily been his first season in the NHL, not his fourth. Anyway, at least in this situation, we do have organizational depth at center, young talent like Jake Evans, like Ryan Poehling, who will now get a greater opportunity to shine with KK out and Dvorak in. Now, that being said, I really like Dvorak as a player. I would have preferred to bring him in on top of Kotkaniemi. Now we are putting all our chips in on Ryan Poehling and Jake Evans to be the future of this franchise at center, unless we draft someone here in the next couple of years that takes that mantle. But even then, that's going to take a bit. But yeah, I'm excited for what Ryan Poehling can do. He had a really good season in Laval, so hopefully him or Jake Evans, who looked really strong in his rookie season in the NHL, especially defensively, 5-on-5. I'm excited for what they can bring, and I'm also excited for what Christian Dvorak can bring, because the thing is, I got all my equipment. I'm going to update this background. I got some artwork coming that I'm really excited for. I got to take down a Kotkaniemi picture now, which is great. And I'm looking forward to this upcoming season, what the Habs are going to do. I think in our current state, we may even be better than we were last season on paper. The Shea Weber loss is going to be very hard to handle. But if Drouin can turn a corner, a full season of Cole Caulfield, that's going to make a big difference. David Savard really should replace Shea Weber defensively. Hopefully maybe Norlinder as a dark horse can come in, and even Romanovs take a step forward to provide our top four a little more puck movement and dynamic offense from the back end. But overall, I'm excited. Frustrated kind of with how the whole Kotkaniemi tenure played out. But I still love my team, and I'm sure you guys do too. Go Habs, go, baby! Woo!